Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to the channel. If you have just 5 minutes, this is all you need to fully understand Pride and Prejudice. Storyline, themes, and the social picture Jane Austen wanted us to see. Let's get started. First, we need to meet the main characters. So let's do it shortly. Elizabeth Bennet, the protagonist of the story, is an intelligent, witty, and independent young woman who values self-respect and reason above all else. Through her eyes, Jane Austen critiques the artificial manners and hypocrisy of her time. Elizabeth is considered the most beautiful of the sisters by the novel's end. Mr. Darcy, the male protagonist, is a wealthy but proud and reserved gentleman. He is initially cold towards Elizabeth and her family due to his pride and his social status. However, over time, he learns to be humble and honest with his emotions, ultimately winning Elizabeth's love and respect. Jane Bennet, Elizabeth's older sister, is a gentle, kind, and beautiful young woman who is loved by Mr. Bingley. She represents pure and uncomplicated love and serves as a foil to Elizabeth's more complex character. Mr. Bingley is a friendly, easygoing, and wealthy gentleman who falls in love with Jane Bennet. He is the embodiment of pure, uncomplicated love, and represents a contrast to the more complicated relationships in the novel. Mrs. Bennet is Elizabeth and Jane's mother, comical and eccentric character who is obsessed with marrying off her daughters. She is a source of comic relief in the novel and serves to highlight the importance of marriage in 19th century England. Mr. Bennet, Elizabeth and Jane's father, is a sarcastic and passive man who provides comic relief through his dry wit. Despite his flaws, he is a loving father who cares deeply for his daughters. Mr. Wickham is a charming but immoral officer who deceives Elizabeth with his false accusations against Mr. Darcy. He symbolizes the dangers of believing appearances and the consequences of unchecked charm. Lydia Bennet, Elizabeth's youngest sister, is a reckless and irresponsible young woman whose scandalous elopement with Mr. Wickham nearly ruins the family's reputation. Her actions serve to highlight the fragility of society's expectations for women in the 19th century. Now let's go through the storyline. Don't worry, it's clear and simple English. No need to panic. Pride and Prejudice is a romantic novel written by Jane Austen and first published in 1813. It explores manners, marriage, money, and morality in 19th century England. The story follows the Bennets, Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, and their 5 daughters, Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia. Mrs. Bennet's main goal is to marry off her daughters. When a rich gentleman, Mr. Bingley, moves into the neighborhood, the family is excited. Bingley soon falls in love with Jane, the eldest daughter. Bingley's friend, Mr. Darcy, is rich, proud, and reserved. Elizabeth dislikes him because of his pride and cold attitude. Darcy, however, quietly admires Elizabeth's sharp mind and independent spirit. A charming officer, Mr. Wickham, tells Elizabeth that Darcy treated him unfairly, making Elizabeth hate him even more. Meanwhile, Bingley suddenly leaves Jane, influenced by Darcy and Bingley's sisters, who think Jane is socially beneath them. Eventually, Darcy proposes to Elizabeth, but in a proud and insulting way, criticizing her family and declaring his love. Elizabeth rejects him angrily, accusing him of destroying Jane and Bingley's relationship and being cruel to Wickham. Later, Darcy writes Elizabeth a letter explaining the truth. He separated Jane and Bingley because he thought Jane didn't love Bingley enough. About Wickham, Darcy reveals that Wickham tried to run away with Darcy's young sister to steal her fortune. Slowly, Elizabeth realizes she was prejudiced just as Darcy was proud. Then a scandal rocks the Bennets. Lydia runs away with Wickham, threatening the family's reputation. Secretly, Darcy finds Wickham, pays off his debts, and forces him to marry Lydia, protecting Elizabeth's family from ruin. Finally, Bingley returns and marries Jane. Darcy and Elizabeth overcome their pride and prejudice, confess their true love and marry. Both couples represent love that has grown through self-awareness, humility, and genuine respect. Now let's do a quick recap. Pride and Prejudice is more than a love story. It's about learning to see beyond first impressions, to balance heart and reason, and to grow into better versions of ourselves. Remember, pride blinds us to others' worth, and prejudice blinds us to the truth. Both must be overcome for real happiness. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.